Welcome back to The Beast Within. I'm your host, Aaron Saltzman, and if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and never miss another episode. Share it with somebody you love because you know other people are battling these beasts as well. During this podcast is where we break down the battles we fight within ourselves on how to conquer them. Today, we're diving into one of the beasts that is the most deceptive and paralyzing forces we face, the illusion beast. This beast traps us in an invisible cage, whispering lies that no one else can see and feel other than ourselves. It convinces us that we're not enough, that our fears define who we are, and that stepping outside of our comfort zone is dangerous. But what if this cage was never real to begin with? The illusion beast thrives on perception. It builds walls that don't exist, creating an alternate reality in which we believe we are powerless. It turns fear into a cage, doubt into a prison, and insecurity into chains. The hardest part about escaping this beast is realizing that the bars, they don't have to be there. They only exist in our minds. Our guest today, Valerie, knows this beast all too well. A passionate personal trainer who I know very well that created and is the founder of Posh Body Fitness. Valerie found herself trapped in the mental prison for years, battling extreme anxiety and panic disorder that stole her entire younger youth. Through the journey of healing, she discovered the power of shifting her mindset, challenging fear based on thinking, and breaking free from the illusion that held her back. Now she's here today with me to share her story and tools on how she escaped the illusion beast. Valerie, great to have you on. Honestly, it's been, I think, 5 years since we've seen each other, but it feels like it was just yesterday.
I know, I love it. So good to be here with you.
Right, and so I'm so glad, first off, thank you for coming on to the podcast to be with us. Whenever we decided to make this podcast and this episode, I knew from previous times that you would be a perfect person for this podcast. I've watched you on your journey, and so I would love for you to share a little bit about you, what you do right now. Tell the guests, what keeps you going, what keeps you driven.
I am, as you mentioned, a personal trainer, still going at it. When we met, we worked together for, a larger company and corporation, and just decided to split off on my own. I love helping women just change their lives. Everything about it, I'm not just changing bodies, I'm changing lives, is the way that I approach fitness. I believe that it helps women live more confidently in their relationships, in their careers, being mothers. Yeah, so that drives me, really helping others see their potential and really working with mindsets, just based on my own experiences and things I've been through. I think that helps me help others.
Past drives our future and our present. And so tell me a little bit in depth about what that means to you. Why mental, right? Why did you get into the field? Why do you want to help women, especially, conquer their mindset?
I think with women, the reason I help women is just because, I can relate, especially around my age. Women going through menopause. Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. The way I act and my actual age, very different things. No, being able to relate to women really helps me because I know where they are. It helps me empathize with them. And I think a lot of us, we need that empathy, especially as women. We think no one understands and we're battling things alone. We are not alone in anything. So I'm able to walk with women like hand in hand in helping them. So
and I think what you just said was spot on, is we're not battling this alone. The illusion beast to talk about today. It does make you feel like you're in this alone. We're trapped in our own mind. There's a quote I want to dive into. I am going to read this because I don't want to butcher it, but it says, "The cage isn't locked. It never was. The only thing in keeping you inside is the belief that you belong there." And so with this quote in mind, how did this illusion beast affect you in your early stages of life? What did you maybe perceive that other people maybe would never have seen in you?
So, as you mentioned in the intro, I experienced severe panic attacks and panic disorder as I was diagnosed with. Out of nowhere, it started one night at dinner. There wasn't anything specific looking back that, okay, this is where, why, I really don't know where it came from, but I was somewhere and I was at dinner and I remember looking up and my body started to respond as if I was dying, and which automatically made me think, oh my God, am I gonna pass out? I felt like I was in a dream. It was the craziest feeling ever. And that was the first time I experienced a panic attack. It was pretty aggressive. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah. And
there I was. I didn't realize at the time that was going to be the next 8 years of my life.
8 years. That's how long it lasted.
Yeah.
Wow. And you listeners listening at home, I know Valerie really well. We used to train together for years. And from an outside perspective, I would have never have known. Right? I would have never known that you were sitting there consistently battling this inner beast. And again, that's where the illusion comes in, is from my side of things, looking at you. I mean, Valerie had it all. Valerie had it all together. She was the most outgoing person, dancing, like having the best time of her life every day. And so the illusion, again, was her own mindset, creating this illusion that or hiding from others how she was truly feeling. And so how did you do that? What kind of inner battles did you have to go through during that process?
So it's like you said, I was caged. You met me after I broke free from that cage. And the person I was before was the same person I am today. However, when I was experiencing that, I was caged up. I was alone in my head. Nobody understood. I didn't wish that on my worst enemy. Everything just kept me trapped inside of my own head. And the way that it was years of medications that made me sick. They didn't make me better. It was years of therapy. I felt like I was simply just talking to a friend. Nothing was making me better until I finally understood it. So I hit the point where I said enough is enough. I am not living my life. I started to hit the point where I feared my fear. So it just was a cycle. It really got so bad that I was ready to take my life. I wasn't living, and that was my 20s. I was supposed to be living the best times of my life, and I was in the darkest and worst. So I sought help, and I found somebody who helped me with cognitive therapy.
And so that's the beauty in it right there. And for those of you listening at home, your 20s, it can be challenging because you feel like you're going through this by yourself, that everybody else is having a good time, and you're staggering behind because you are trying to find your way out of this. And again, that's where the illusion piece comes in, is it's in your head that everybody else is, I'm different, and why do I have to be different? And so the tool necessary there that you mentioned is finding a mentor or a coach, or as you said, a therapist who can now give you tools. Hopefully that's what you guys are receiving on this podcast. So that, if somebody finds themselves suffering from this, listening to Valerie and using her as a tool necessary in order to get out of your own head. Now, an analogy I want to bring up is for the illusion beast is when you get out of the shower and you look into the mirror, and the mirror is consistently always fogged up and distorted. What you're looking at in that mirror is distorted from what other people actually see you as, right? And so all of this fear that we build up in our own mind is actually just that. It's in your mind, right? Because everybody else, from an outside perspective, everybody would see you as Valerie, like, the girl that's got it all together, right? The girl that doesn't have these inner so-on beasts, right? And so I want to allow people to understand that if you just wipe off the mirror, right? And get rid of the distortion, you can see clearly that it all is in your own head. And so maybe share an experience or two on how people can do that. What avenues can they go in order to allow this illusion that they have to go away?
So the steps that I took and I had to learn was like exactly what you're saying. It was all in my head. And I had this therapist help me. She sat me down and she kind of brought the reality to it. I'm creating all these illusions in my head. So before it ever even happened, I have created a whole scenario in which now my body is actually reacting to. I'm going into fight or flight. I then think I'm dying, and now I'm responding to it where I need to run out of that situation. So what I had to do was bring reality to my thoughts and really control what was happening up there. So controlling my thoughts. So whereas it was conditioned now to want to go a certain way. I'm going to get sick if I get on that plane. Then I'm going to have a panic attack. Like I walked through the whole thing. None of that was happening. In fact, when I did get on the airplane finally, I was fine. Yeah. I didn't pass out. I didn't throw up right there in my seat. People weren't laughing at me. Nobody even knew.
Yeah.
So it was, number one is just checking yourself. I always say that, check yourself. Like, really think about that thought and say, how realistic is this right now? Because that illusion beast creates things that, honestly, 99% of the time never come true.
It's spot on. Check yourself, right? So the thing is, our brain, it runs 1,000,000 miles a second, right? Like, it literally does. It creates these possibilities, right? And the reason for this is, if we go way back when, to the old days of survival, right? All your brain cares about is surviving. That's it. All we want to do is make sure that we can stay alive. And so it goes back to the days, and this is what anxiety is, or fear is, of the tiger's gonna get me, right? And we have, back in the day, those tools that our brain made helped us. It helped us stay away from the tiger. It helped us survive. Nowadays, it's still within us, but there's no tiger, right? And so it consistently builds on this, and we start to play these roles in our head. And so what you said was perfect. Check yourself. Test your thoughts, right? If you go off of every thought that you have in your head, you're going to damage yourself, right? You're going to end up putting yourself way back. So challenge those thoughts and realize, everybody, that the thoughts that we have are for safety. Back in the day, it used to be safety was having a group of people around you, right? That was security. That was going to keep you safe. And so now we still hold on to that. We want to be liked. We don't want to be judged. We fear others are going to see how we're really feeling inside, so we bottle it up, right? So maybe share, how did you go from these panic attacks and facing everything by yourself to finally, I'm going to go out and seek help? What was that turning point for you?
So the turning point for me with that and seeking help was, as I mentioned, that moment where I was getting into a new relationship. And again, it's something that I wanted to hide from the world. I didn't want, especially anybody new to know this, because it was a huge flaw. How will somebody I wanted to hide it from everybody, but especially the relationship. And I had mentioned, I'm dealing with some anxiety, but not to the point where it was, I won't get on an airplane. And that meant, then why are they going to want to be with me? I can't travel with them. So I was hiding that. And I met somebody who turned out to be one of the worst people in my entire life, but at the same time, one of the best. Because he looked at me and he said, okay, well, I can't be with you then. If that's how, I'm not going to allow you to be that way. But I really wanted to be with him. So I told myself, well, I have to get past this. I want all of these things that I want in my life. If I want to travel the world, if I want to see things, I can't live in this cage. This isn't living. And if that's the case, then I would rather be dead, because I didn't have a choice anymore. I could not continue where I was going. Wow. That wasn't living, Aaron. Right. It was dying. And I made the decision. I told my mom, I said, Mom, I have to get help. I can't live like this, and I'm at the point where a decision's going to be made to either get better or that's it. And killing myself wasn't an option. I loved my family too much. It just, I couldn't do it. I think I was more afraid to do it.
It took getting to that point to finally make the decision to get better. Mm-hmm. And, we come across those bridges, if you will, where it's shit or get off the pot time. It's this is why I made this podcast, right? It's all about living to your fullest potential. Well, on the other side of that bridge, that's your fullest potential, right? And you can choose to cross the bridge and take the journey, or stay on the other side. And you took that leap of faith. And so a big thing is, the beasts that we go through, they never fully disappear, but you can get out of that cage and stay out of the cage, right? Because we choose to get back in that cage if we go back to it, right? And so what kind of things do you do today? What are your daily habits that keep you outside of that cage?
Well, the one thing I learned was that in order to even break free of that and stay free of that, I had to change. I had to change the ways I was thinking. Every day that I woke up, I could stay the same. I could have the same thought patterns, which then led to the same feelings, which then led to the same actions, which was thought patterns of being fearful, which led to the same way that I had been feeling all anxious. And then now I avoided everything. Or I can change those thoughts from the moment that I woke up. And that has shaped who I am and every single thing that I do to this day about everything. I was able to quit smoking a few years after all of this, using what I learned. Why? Because something that I was doing every single day, which was lighting a cigarette every time I got on the phone, every time I got in the car, every time I woke up, it was the same process I went through. So I woke up in the morning, the day I quit smoking, and I no longer said, well, I'm quitting smoking today. No, that day I woke up, I said, I'm a non-smoker. And I changed my thought process. I changed who I was. I was no longer a smoker from that day. So I use this every day in my life to do anything I want.
Wait, so you're telling me that your mindset can work for you and not against you?
Yeah. So I still have that beast in there. I mean, we all have fear. We all have moments. Don't think I don't get anxious. But it no longer turns to full-blown panic attacks. I mean, yeah, I get worried. I still worry when I get on a plane. Boom, there's a bump, plane's going down. Yeah. You know, I immediately, I'm like, that's it, here we go. Like, this is where I die. Yeah, I'm one of those. So I grip my husband. I'm like, he's not my husband, he's my fiance. But whatever, whoever he is, the guy next to me.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm like, look, I'm already nervous just talking about it. No, but so, I mean, it's still a real thing. It still kicks in. Like fear, we all have it. But it's what we do with it. What happens next, you know, with that thought? You have to change the patterns.
Yes, and it's in the that's perfect. Patterns or daily habits, right? It's all about those small daily habits that would lead you up to those panic attacks or would lead you up to, okay, so what can I do to change? I think a big one is, and you kind of said it, was telling yourself or talking yourself off the ledge, right? Like, is this built up in my head? What's the worst that could really happen? What are the chances, right? What are the odds that plane goes down? How many planes go up and come back down very safety, right? What are the actual percentages? And so I think that piece right there is big, is allowing yourself to calm yourself by talking yourself out of it.
Well, one of the things that she had talked to me about was, what was I focusing on? So when I keep using the plane as an example, because that was so restrictive for me. When I'm supposed to be traveling the world in my 20s and seeing things, while I have the time, I couldn't do it. So I use that example a lot. But she said, what is your mind focusing on? Because what is it? What you perceive, you believe. So that's it, right? So
and you will receive,
I was so, right? Yes, I was so focused. Like she taught me like, okay, don't focus on the plane going down. Think about where you're going. Forget being on the plane. It doesn't mean like forget your current state, but just like get out of that pattern, get out of that tunnel, if you will, of like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, the plane's gonna crash, all of that stuff. And start thinking about, wow, I'm going to an island right now. I'm gonna have so much fun. Everything is just where your focus is and where those thoughts are, because those illusions will come up, right? Your illusions are just your thoughts. I tell you, like, don't think about a piece of pizza. You pictured pizza in your head. I know you did. Even when you say don't. Yeah. Don't think about that plane crashing. I'm thinking about that plane crashing. So everything is all your thoughts and just that focus and where you're focusing.
That's perfect. And the analogy you said was in the tunnel. And so what I would go from there is like, it's turning a negative to a positive. So when you're in the metaphorical tunnel, right, it's dark in there, right? So turn on your headlights. Right? Exactly. Shine some positivity into it. That was a perfect situation with what she gave you. Was why focus on the plane, right? Like the plane is not your destination, right? Focus on where you're headed. Focus on where you're going, and that was her situation, right? For all you listeners, that could be anything in life. Like why focus on where you're presently at right now? Focus on the destination. Focus on what's to come. Another one I find a tool that's very beneficial in this area of the illusion beast is affirmation on writing things down on whatever it is, whatever illusion beast you're facing. A lot of the time, illusion beast could be something that somebody faces about their image, right? Like you look in the mirror and you see something that 99.9% of nobody else probably sees, right? And so writing down, I mean, have you ever gone through any journaling or any type of getting your thoughts out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is so beneficial. Just sitting there, because you look back and you read it and you realize how ridiculous it is. It really is. Yep. And how small it is when it comes to like life and things. And it's so funny, like women, we stress so much about like how we're gonna look in the bikini. You missed your entire vacation. You were stressed so much on what you looked like that in 10 years from now, like you're not gonna look back and be like, oh wow, I had that cellulite on my lip. So write down these things, like you said, get it all out on paper. I mean, sometimes it's just all of those feelings built up. It really is, journaling is phenomenal.
Yeah. The illusion of what you had, right? It's a perfect segue into bringing it out of your head, bringing it to reality, and then realizing that reality...
Ridiculous.
Exactly, right? It's that man, that thought was ridiculous.
Listen, I had these thoughts sometimes that I would be somewhere and I would like get really sick because my panic attacks, they would make me sick to my stomach. I would get really nauseous, right? Your brain like releases all of that adrenaline. The adrenaline releases all the hormones. They go to your stomach. You feel really sick. It's like an athlete who gets really nervous before a game. Yes. Some of them get really sick before. Anyway, we won't get into those details. But that was happening to me. So I knew that I was going to like, oh my God, I'm going to get anxious and I'm going to feel sick. Well, then what? In my head, I was like, I'm going to throw up. Everybody's going to laugh at me. How embarrassing. Yeah. So my therapist looked at me and she said, if you saw somebody get sick and throw up, are you going to walk up and just start laughing at them? Wow, and I was like, no, I'm going to feel sad for them. So why are people going to laugh at you? That's how ridiculous this illusion beast is. It creates these thoughts that are not even true.
Yeah, what you just said gave me the chills because it hits it home for me. These things that you build up in your own head and you think that others are judging you, right? Or others will judge that you threw up. Others are going to laugh and point at you. When in reality, if you flip the script and realize if you were on the other side, how would you feel towards these people, right? My God, you're going to be there for them. You're not going to laugh at them. You're going to bring them a bag. You're going to say, are you okay? Or can I get you anything? Right? And that is how humanity actually works. And for some reason, we don't treat ourselves that way, right? We treat ourselves as if people are evil and people are not going to, have empathy for us. Yeah. Right? And so maybe a tool, can you share maybe a possibility of how somebody can flip that script? How can we see ourselves more so as we see others and the empathy that we have for others? How can we flip that script to start feeling that way for ourselves?
Well, I just think the amount of pressure some of us put on ourselves to be perfect. For one, like with the world that we live in social media, we hear it all the time. Like we're just seeing everybody's like highlight reel and oh my God, they're so perfect. Look how cute they are. Look how this, I'm not that. Stop putting expectations on yourself to be so perfect and so amazing. That doesn't exist on any level for anyone. Absolutely. Nobody has it all. Nobody is perfect. So I think to lower this expectation of this perfection that we have of ourselves really helps. It takes off that pressure. Completely forgot the rest.
Yeah, you're good. But that's perfect. and that will be one of the beasts to come that we'll talk about on this podcast is the perfectionist beast. Yeah. Because you said it. We live in a world full of social media, and to me, it is. It's so new, right, that it is completely flipping our brains and our anxieties and fears on its head. And people don't know how to respond, so they respond with emotional pain on themselves, right? Judgment, and just beating themselves up, like you said, being so hard on themselves, judging off of something that isn't even real, right? We see these false expectations from others and we beat ourselves up from it. So a tool, again, that I have for this is when you write something down, or even if you want to share it with somebody, this is why I want this podcast to exist, because I want you to know people like Valerie, who you would never expect to be suffering from something like that, currently is. And so I want to bring awareness for people to talk about these situations. Tell people how you're actually feeling, because I guarantee you they will shoot it down with, I am shocked. Like one time I remember I was driving to San Francisco. I was probably 17 years old in high school. I lived a pretty good life in high school. I guess you want to call it one of the popular guys and everything like that. And I told both my brothers, I said, I hate myself in that I'm so insecure. I'm insecure about this. I'm insecure about that. And they looked at me and they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? That's not you. They were so mind blown, right? And so what I'm trying to express is get it out there on how you're feeling and allow reality to tell you otherwise. Because that illusion beast was telling me everybody's going to see me as this, this, and this. I'm 5'6". Everybody's going to judge me because I'm 5'6". Everybody's going to judge me because of this, right? So that illusion beast, right? And so if you could, what is a tool that somebody can utilize? Obviously, I just threw out there by telling others, but what is a tool that somebody can utilize today without, because where you have gotten has taken years, right? It's taken a lot of practice. It's taken a lot of energy, a lot of emotion to get to where you're at. But what's one tool somebody can use to change today? Like what can they do in order to make a step in the right direction?
I think it's all about focusing on your thoughts. So when you wake up in the morning, you're so used to that conditioning. You get up, I think I heard it was, I want to say Peter Attia said, you have 80 to 1,000 thoughts each day. 90% of them are the same thoughts that you had the day before. Same thoughts. That's insane to me. So if you can change that the following day, you're going to do things completely different. So that conditioning, that illusion beast, it all starts in your head. It all starts with those thoughts. So if you can get up the next day and change that, think of things differently. Not be pissed off about something you were pissed off from 3 days ago. Stop bringing that with you, or whatever it may be. You're pissed off at your body. This is obviously the number one thing I deal with and see on a daily basis are women who are so hard on themselves. And I'm never going to get where I need to be. Oh, I'm so fat. Look at my legs. Look at this. Stop focusing on everything that you're not and start focusing on the things that you are and the things you can control. Yeah. And you'll start being more positive about it. You may not be in your body where you want to be at the very end, but guess what? If each day you're doing things for that to change, you're going to be a hell of a lot happier, and just start focusing more on the positive. It's where we focus, it's where our thoughts go. Your whole body will start to react to that and respond. You're going to be happier. Yeah. You're going to be in a better mood. You're going to treat other people differently. And all of that energy just continues to feed it.
One word that I believe is the destroyer of the illusion beast, and that's control. By understanding that, one, you can't control everything, and to focus on what you can control, because what you can control will save your life, and it will actually keep you at peace and happiness. You said that 90% of our thoughts are thoughts that we had from yesterday. One thing that I think is super important is if you learn how to change or put those habits in play for those 90%, well, guess what? The next day, it's the same 90%, but now you got the tools necessary. So with utilizing and building those tools, it's going to help you day after day in order to eventually put the illusion beast aside. And so with all the tools in play that you have utilized, do you still face this inner beast? Do you still have these panics? And is it more so of you have the tools necessary now to talk yourself off the ledge of freaking out? Or have you put these complete to rest?
I no longer have panic attacks. I'm happy to say that, and I never will again, because I do have the tools to deal with thoughts that come up that I know I could then go down that rabbit hole, that dark hole that anybody can go down, but I will no longer go there. I remember, I want to say it was about 6 months panic attack free, and I was driving in the car, and I actually tried to have one. I was like, I wonder if this is ever going to come up again. I'll never forget this. And I was driving, and I remember thinking like, wow, what if I was trying to have those thoughts, and I could no longer anymore, because the conditioning at that point was so good within that I knew how to actually stop it. Whereas something that was once so completely out of control for me, I didn't even know. I really thought I was going to spend the rest of my life like that.
So actually that segues right to my next question is, let's say, and going back to that metaphor of crossing the bridge, let's say you never crossed the bridge. Let's say you never challenged your thoughts. Let's say you never went into the position of becoming the person you are today or reaching your fullest potential, just like this podcast is about. Where would you be?
So even just you saying that and asking me that question, I immediately go into this like fearful place of oh my God, I would be dead. Right. I would absolutely be dead because I didn't want to be there anymore, or I would just be probably locked inside of the home. And I know that that's actually a reality for a lot of people. And I just remember thinking, once I broke free of that, how I wish that anyone who suffered from that could know there is a whole other side. there is a way out of that door, out of that like cage, and that it is absolutely beautiful. But Aaron, I would not be anywhere of where I am today.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything.
And
It
guys,
has absolutely made me
If
who I
it light a fire up your butt to want to change your life and want to face this illusion beast head on, I don't know what will, because you guys just heard it firsthand from somebody that has gone through it. She literally is in a position right now where she lives in Orange County. She owns her own business. She's married to, or gonna be married to, very good looking guy, right? So like, she's got the life that she's always desired. But what did it take? It took crossing that bridge. It took facing that inner beast, right? And
changing the illusions.
Yes.
Changing the illusions. Listen, we all think, we all see, we all picture, but what are you picturing? What are you meditating on? Have you ever done like visualization meditation?
personally, yes.
Absolutely amazing. So what is that? It's controlling what you're seeing. That's why it's so powerful. Listen, it's like I told you before, don't think of pizza. You think of pizza, you automatically think of that. What you're thinking of and what you're visualizing is exactly where you're gonna go.
Right? And I believe in this wholeheartedly because sitting in it today, I manifested this gym, right? Like I manifested, right? And so you manifested Posh Body Fitness, right? Like from the days we were at Lifetime, who would have known that this is where we'd both be, right? And so that manifestation is, I would say, one of the highest tools necessary that you guys can utilize. And it's something, again, that you can start today. Literally, you put a vision in your mind and you manifest it coming to fruition, right?
Well, the illusion beast can work two ways. It can work against you or you.
Damn.
So, how are you going to use
If this
it?
mic was in your hand, you would have just dropped it. Like, that was it. Like, the illusion beast can... Yeah. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast. She's going to rap for us, guys. It's happening. Wow, the illusion beast works both ways.
That's exactly it. So yeah, my illusion beast, it's still in there, but I just use it for me. Because all of these things that I have today, they didn't exist when that illusion beast was working against me. I couldn't see past any of that. Now, when it works for me, I can see everything. Wow. I can see anywhere I want to go. It's beautiful, but we have to use it the right way.
So the illusion beast, if you will, it can be your map, right? It can be your helping hand in getting to your fullest potential, or it could be your map to destruction.
Absolutely.
Right. It's really just how you guys want to see it. It can. I love that you said it can work both ways. I mean, that didn't even come across my mind. That was beautiful. Because it can. Illusion can be beneficial, and you just have to find ways of channeling your thoughts, like you said. And the tool that I think for me helps in many ways is when it comes to this manifestation. Put it out of your head and put it into reality. So for instance, a vision board, right? A vision board for me, it is my screensaver on my computer. Every time somebody sees it, they're like, what the fuck is this? Like, there's a beautiful blonde girl on it. Like, everybody's like, well, who is this girl? Well, that's my future wife. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's already, like you said, it's already here. That's already real to me, right? Like, anything on that vision board you see every single day, put it on your phone, put it in your room, put it on your fridge, whatever it is. Vision board is that tool to utilize the illusion for you instead of against you. What does your vision board look like? I mean, what are things? Let's talk about Valerie today. What's your vision board moving forward? Yeah, right. Okay.
Believe it or not, traveling. I still have never made it to Italy. Okay. I've never been like where my ancestors live, where my cousins live. I got cousins. I got family in Italy. I ain't never been. No, but it's traveling, which is so funny because something that was once not my, I'm never getting on a plane again. Here I am. And I'm okay, I'm traveling the world.
So traveling to you is living out your fullest potential, right? And now, if you never defeated the illusion beast,
no way.
You wouldn't be living there.
No way. Yeah. No way. So I'll tell you a story. After I started to get through just the other side of it, illusion beast, boom, gone. Well, not gone, just tamed, changed. I went to Brazil. So I started dating a Brazilian guy. Immediately those old thoughts came in. Oh my God, how am I ever gonna go home with him? How am I gonna meet his family? The old thoughts started to kick in. And again, I had to learn how to, nope, we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about how amazing Brazil's gonna be. We started to really feel it. There I was 2 years later, walking in the parade at Carnival, experiencing one of the most amazing moments of my life. Walking in the Carnival parade, full head to toe outfit. It was beautiful. But like, I had to tame that beast. I had to slay it, and I had to learn how to do it anyway.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and you would have never been able to live that with still facing that illusion beast, or if not taming and making the illusion beast work for you instead of against you.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from. Sorry.
That was perfect. That's exactly what I want people to understand, is that she would have never been able, her dream is to go to Italy, right? And see her ancestors and be there and kind of learn, where she came from. And with still facing that illusion beast, that would have never came to life. And so now sitting here today, it is on your vision board. It is something that you're gonna accomplish, and it's all because you did the inner work, right? And so anything else that, comes to mind that you think is something that you wouldn't have been able to do before, but now you see yourself doing it in the near future?
Recently, just something came into my head and my heart that I will be hosting events. I will be standing up in front of groups of women, large groups of women, because when we have a dream and a goal, like we start somewhere and it progresses. Okay, I reached that. I started my business. Boom, I launched my app. Boom, what's next? Like, I want growth constantly. So obviously none of this I ever thought would happen at the time. Now has, and it's very easy for me to see.
What you just said, that growth that you want constantly, that growth mindset, that is the tool that you built in order to tame the illusion beast. It's like that triumphs over the illusion, right? Like, you decided that means more to you, right? That growth of constant consistency means more to you than sitting in the illusion beast. Mm-hmm. And so, anyways, go on. I interrupted you.
So I actually see myself now hosting events, speaking to hundreds of women at a time, all about health and wellness and mindset and growth and everything in their lives. And in my tiny little cocoon that I once was in my 20s, I'm like, I'm never going to live a normal life again.
You broke through and became a fucking butterfly. Right? Yeah. Like, that's what it's about, right? Like, that is what the growth mindset is about. And now you're going to be on that stage and you're going to be talking to these people. And that's where I stand in my life. Is the old me would never be sitting on this podcast. The old me would have had so many fears and doubts and insecurities that it wasn't going to happen. And now, not only is this podcast going to blow up, the goal is, again, to be on stage. Let's help people get through what we had to go through. And, I think that's what life is truly about, is you have your own inner beast, that illusion beast. Well, you have faced it, you've overcome it, and now how can you share your tools with everybody else? And, I couldn't thank you enough for being on this podcast, because you have helped already the people that are going to be listening to this. And so you're already one step into getting on that stage by stepping in today. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners about the illusion beast, or just about life in general, that you want them to know?
I think just the biggest thing is knowing that you're not alone, knowing that absolutely anything is possible. Anything. Never, ever, ever limit yourself. Whatever dream you have, you can achieve it, but you have to first learn how to control your thoughts. And each day, it's not just like, if it's fitness, it's not that decision you make the day to change your body, you make that decision every single day. And you just have to control what's happening in your mind and the thoughts and the things you tell yourself.
Well, what you said earlier was actually beautiful for what you just said. Is a thought is great, right? I want to change my body. And we speak about that because that's the world we know, right? Fitness trainer, right? So we speak that's our daily life. So the thought is, I want to change my body. What you said earlier is the action, right? And the action is those daily habits that you have to do every day. It's not, I'll do them sometimes, I'll do them occasionally. It's every day that you have to do these habits. And again, in the fitness world, what are those habits? Well, going to the gym, eating correctly, getting sleep, drinking water, making mindful decisions that are going to get you into the right direction. But it's taking ridiculously insane action on the thought that you want to become reality. Yeah. And so, again, I thank you so much for coming today. This has been an amazing experience for me. I know this is going to help so many other people out there, because your journey is unique, but other people share that same journey that are going through those same battles of the illusion beast that you went through. And so I couldn't thank you again enough for being here. I know we'll connect Hopefully not in another 5 years. It's been a long time.
I know.
But I see you every day killing it and doing your thing. So I appreciate everything that you do. And again, guys, this is The Beast Within. I'm your host, Aaron Saltzman. If you haven't, please join and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on YouTube, social media, TikTok, Instagram, the Spotify, and hit us with a like, hit us with the subscribe button, and never miss another episode because, guys, we are clearly giving you all the tools necessary to get to your fullest potential. Take care. Again, thank you so much, Val.
Thank you,
and we will
Aaron.
see you guys soon. Peace.